Peace. So I'm back with another video, and in this video, I'm going to be putting forth questions to ask the nations of gods and earth. And what led to this particular video was a conversation with some brothers in one of my classes. They were asking me my particular take on the nations of gods and earth as they relate to conscious people studying and living according to facts. Now, if anybody know anything about the nations of gods and earth, you know that they were particularly a splinter group that was started by Clarence 13X, who was a part of the FOI, and eventually left the Nation of Islam to be able to create what he first called the 5% Nation, and later on down the line, they were named, permanently the nations of gods and earth. So, as it stands on the basis of factual doctrine, the nations of gods and earth's doctrine is not a factual doctrine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose questions to stir things in the thinking man's mind as it relates to their doctrine. So the first thing that I want y'all to understand is when you are a people studying information to try to educate yourself at something, there must be sources of research to be able to prove what it is that you're trying to accept, right? And so if, let's say, for example, a lot of the nations of gods and earth attack the Christian doctrine, the Islamic doctrine, the Judaic doctrine as believing in a mystery God, or what they call a spook, stating that these particular monotheistic religions don't stand on a factual basis, and they believe in things that they can't see, hear, feel, or touch. So this is a standard nations of gods and earth perspective. And so what I'm going to show and prove factually through these questions that you can go ask them is that they're doing actually the same thing. All right, so the first question I would ask a member of the nations of gods and earth is, if you don't believe in a God that you can't see, hear, feel, or touch, and you call that spookism, then show me proof that a being by the name of Shabazz actually existed. Because the nations of gods and earth teach that we are the lost tribe of Shabazz, right? So if we come from the tribe of Shabazz, then what tribe does Shabazz come from? Because he can't be from the tribe of himself, right? And is the doctrine that is being taught in the nation of gods and earth, is that the same thing that he followed, right? So another question is, who is Yaqub's mother and father? And how can we actually prove that this being actually existed? Where is the documentation of all of these particular beings that can be found inside of their lessons? Now, understand this. The lessons that Clarence 13X brought the nations of gods and earth was actually Nation of Islam lessons, right? Or I should say FOI lessons from the Nation of Islam. And he left the Nation of Islam. He didn't have a doctrine that he himself put together. He took what he had accepted from the Nation of Islam and went and created a splinter group called the Nations of Gods and Earth from it. So, it conflicts. And I'm going to tell you how it conflicts. If I call myself a God, but I follow lessons that call me a Muslim, if you go speak to most gods, they do not see themselves as Muslim. Furthermore, Muslim is an Arabic word, right? Coming from the prefix mu, which means one who is with or one's of, and the verb or the word salama being made as slim to bring forth these two words to mean one who is with peace or one's of peace. Now, by definition of the word, they can be Muslim. But that particular term was actually created in the Prophet Muhammad's time, right? So you're taking Islamic terminology and turning it into your own. For example, you can't create an acronym out of a word that already has a meaning, right? And so they say that the term Islam means I sincerely love Allah's mathematics, or I self Lord and Master. That's false doctrine, because Islam is an Arabic word coined by the Prophet Muhammad, coming from the word salama, mean peace, right? So when you put the actual aleph with the kasra in the beginning, you get the I or E, right? And you put the fatha between the lam and the meme, right? And you get the word lam. So that pronunciation in Arabic is Islam. Islam means the way of peace. So you took an Arabic word and then you created an acronym to suit what you teach. Is that a factual doctrine? Or is that a factual aspect of your doctrine? Because if the word already had an Arabic meaning, and we know that the word does originate in Arabic, right? And it was coined by the Prophet Muhammad of mainstream monotheistic Islam, then how is it a fact that the word Islam means I self Lord and Master, or I sincerely love Allah's mathematics? And again, you can't create an acronym out of a word that already has a definition. Acronyms are created from a group of words to shorten it, such as Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, Federal Bureau Investigation, FBI, right? So you can't create an acronym out of a word that already has a meaning. They say that in the student enrollment, the 1 to 10, Christianity is only 551 years old. Judaism, and you can do the research in any search engine, goes back at least 6,000 years, starting with Prophet Moses, right? And so Judaism is the foundation of Christianity, all except certain precepts that was actually practiced or accepted back then. And so it was reformed into a way that pretty much they created their own doctrine out of that particular doctrine. And then we know the Roman Catholics spread that around the world. So another question I would ask is, how are we Asiatic black men, right? Because if you look at the actual black man of Asia, that is the East Indian Hindu. So when the lesson says who is the original man, the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, God of the universe. You're stating that African people originate in Asia, right? And then they come and they say that, well, Asia or Asiatic means Asia means the body and Attic means the mind. That is a symbolism, right? So you can't say that symbolisms represent factual knowledge. Okay, so another question is, where is it in any research sources outside of the Nation of Islam that Yaqub grafted the devil? Because here's what I'm trying to actually basically get people to think about when they are processing information that they're being disseminated. In order for you to say that you as a person or group of people stand on factual knowledge, there has to be research sources that you can actually go back to outside of the actual group of people that actually is propagating it. Because of course you're going to back up what you teach. If I go to a Muslim writer about Islam, of course he's going to back up what he teach, right? You're not going to try to contradict what you teach, or else you wouldn't feel proud about standing on it. There is no research sources that you can find outside of the Nation of Islam about Shabazz. Put forth the evidence. There is no research source outside of the Nation of Islam that proves that, Yaqub grafted the devil. Put forth the research, right? And so when we start to actually analyze what these people are trying to get us to accept, just like they believe that God in the Bible and the law in the Quran is a mystery God, Shabazz and Yaqub is a mystery group of beings that still can't be seen, heard, felt, or touched, or found in any research sources, no different than they profess that God or Allah can't be seen or heard. That's spookism. When you got characters in a doctrine that no encyclopedia supports, no dictionary supports. If you search in the Google search engine right now about Shabazz, the tribe of Shabazz, you will get no other source outside of the actual Nation of Islam. Go look it up. And I find that to be very strange for a group of people who say that they stand on facts and teach all not spiritual, but all factual knowledge concerning what they say that they stand on. And so these questions are very important to get people's minds thinking, even though, most people, their emotions is wrapped up into what they have learned to accept. Remember, most people don't study something, then join it. They join it and then they study. So by the time they actually start to learn about it, their emotions is wrapped up into it because they've put so much time and energy into actually identifying themselves with it. Yet and still, that will never excuse the fact that you can't say that that is not a mystery doctrine if you can't find the majority of the characters that's being spoken about inside of that doctrine in any other research sources. Another thing, they say that black man is God, white man is devil, right? And for the most part, let's say we agree with that. And I do agree with that to a certain extent. However, the story that is told about Master Farad Muhammad, to me, is a fallacy because, and I've included his pictures in this video for, again, the thinking mind. Not the closed-minded or the narrow-minded people, the thinking mind. If that brother was walking down the street, right, and we didn't know nothing about the nations of gods and earth and what they taught about him, we didn't have no affection for him, at no way, shape, form, or fashion, and the question was asked, what race is that man? You mean to tell me that you wouldn't say that that brother is a Caucasian? He does not look Arab. He does not look mixed. He looks just like a Caucasian male. So how is it that you can accept a doctrine from the same beings that you call the devil? Look at his picture and tell me that he is not white. His parents' name was Alfonso and Mimi. Go look it up. We got his mugshot records, right? And so he was born in Portland, Oregon, not in Saudi Arabia or the Mecca, the holy Mecca in the Middle East. He was born in Portland, Oregon. He did time in San Quentin. You can go look up his actual jail record. He is white, right? Max Ford was his son. And on Max Ford birth certificate, it was signed as white or Caucasian. Right? So I find it very strange, again, that a group of people that claim that the white man is the devil accept, embrace, and spread the teachings of a person that comes from that same race. That to me makes no sense. That's not logical at all. Another thing, in the student enrollment, it says that Islam has no set birth record. Now, y'all have to understand this. Prior to the coming of Prophet Muhammad, the founder of mainstream Orthodox Islam, show any record that the term Muslim and Islam were actually used. I'm waiting. I want somebody to send that research to me. The reason why I'm saying that is because Prophet Muhammad, before founding Islam, didn't follow Islam. Islam was not created before Prophet Muhammad. And Islam did not originate with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right? So let's look at the words Muslim and Islam. And we're going to go through this again in Arabic. I speak Arabic fluently. So I'm going to actually, expound on this a little bit. The term Islam was coined by Prophet Muhammad to describe the new doctrine that he actually brought. Because remember, prior to Prophet Muhammad being in the cave, receiving the revelations of the Quran from the angel Gabriel, according to Islamic history, what was he? Right? He couldn't have been a Muslim if the angel Gabriel came to him and started him on a journey of this new teaching, which he termed Islam. So the term Islam has a beginning, right? Now they could say, in symbolism, the way of peace. That may be so. People may have been living in peace, but that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is when you say that Islam as a doctrine or way of life has no set birth record, that is a blatant lie, because we know that Prophet Muhammad was not a Muslim and didn't have a doctrine called Islam until he met the angel Gabriel. So for you to put in lessons that Islam has no set birth record would be a blatant lie, right? That's not factual. You can't say that that is fact. Another thing, the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabet, right? Okay, so we know that these were created to be able to guide the nations of gods and earth in understanding how to break things down. Prior to Clarence 13X, who was using that system? Did Shabazz use the system? Right? Because I find it very strange that you say that we come from this particular person and this is what tribe we are, and you're saying that this is an actual real being that physically lived, but there is no record of this being outside of the nation of Islam whatsoever. So most of the things that you are learning in the nations of gods and earth, besides the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabet, was given by Master Farad Muhammad to Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And this is not being stated, it's not being stated that the person who you say we come from, the tribal leader, Shabazz, even followed that, knew about that, or even existed. No different than the mystery God. So now, are you going to tell me that you are unwilling to accept a spook being that Christians and Muslims and Jews are saying created the heavens and the earth? And I don't accept that, so I don't want y'all to take, what I'm saying as if I do. What I'm trying to do is draw an analogy that what is the difference in not accepting a spook creator because you can't see, hear, or feel him, and you don't know if he actually exists, and accepting Shabazz when you can't prove that he exists either, right? So, and you say that it's not a religion, but technically anything that has a God concept and a devil concept it is a religion. It's just a specific type of religion. Your God and your devil concept differs than a monotheistic religion, but nonetheless, that is a religion. Now, you may not carry yourself in a religious way, but the very fact that you have to explain who you are by religious terminologies makes that a religion. So another thing that I would ask the nations of gods and earth, to test whether or not they really realize that their doctrine doesn't stand on a factual basis. How can you be a God, right, and be all wise, right, and knowledgeable, but you base your entire ideology on 120 questions and answers? That is not enough information that it just blows my mind that people even subscribe to that. That is not enough information to be able to educate people, period. In no way, shape, form, or fashion. That's why the Nation of Islam ain't really teaching it like that no more. They became Sunni Muslims under Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? So 120 questions and answers is infinitesimal compared to the larger world. Now, I know what most of them are going to say. Hey, this was just the foundation. Your doctrine does not come equipped with enough information to be able to educate its people. So what happened is they become a free thinking society, meaning after you learn these lessons, you go pick information from here, pick information from here, pick information from here, pick information from here, and tailor it to your interpretation based on those particular things. Yet and still, you're taking from different ideologies and trying to add it on to it, and what you call it is plus lessons, right? All that is somebody or some group of somebodies from that particular community went to various different sources of other people's information that did not originate with the Nation of Islam nor the nations of gods and earth, and they used that to be able to solidify their point of who they are and what they are, and the way that they actually see the world through that particular view. So I want y'all to hit me up in the comments section, and if anybody has any research sources on if this God Shabazz ever existed, please put forth that, because I stand to be corrected if I am wrong. Yet, and still I know, because I've been researching this for years. There is nobody out there that was named Shabazz that we as the people of black people come from, right? There is no sources that show that. And there is no sources of information that outside of the Nation of Islam, that is, that you can go find that proves that Yaqub grafted the devil. No sources, none at all. And furthermore, you have to think like this. When Honorable Elijah Muhammad came, he didn't teach us something new. He gave his own interpretation of Christianity and Islam, right? He didn't actually create a new doctrine. He didn't. And Master Farad Muhammad, we don't even know where he got those lessons from. Where did he get it from? Where can we go find the lessons somewhere else in ancient history? In Asia. Since we come from Asia, our information and history should be there. And I'm not talking about drawing conclusions through symbolisms to try to show and prove it. I need hardcore facts. Show me the facts to where the 120 can be found in Asia or Africa, just like that. So if anybody has those research sources, I want y'all to hit me up in the comments section and let me know what's going on, because I have a real problem with accepting things without proof, and so should you. So with that, family, I'm going to say peace, and y'all get at me in the comment section.